Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name is Edie Ann. I'm an independent Scentsy consultant. Today I'm asking myself, is it worth tracking numbers in my business? That's what I want to talk about today. Tracking numbers in our business is something that people kind of veer away from. They'll say things like, I'm not a numbers person, or does it really matter? As long as I'm putting in the effort, I should be moving forward, right? Here's the deal. I was not always a numbers tracker. I do love numbers, and I do love to see overall pictures, whether it's through charting or pie charts. Apparently I'm not that much of a numbers person, but I am. I love seeing numbers. I love comparing numbers. And so here is my thought in regards to tracking numbers. Is it necessary? No. But is it necessary in order to grow? Yes. Here's the deal. Somebody said this example the other night, and I thought, isn't that brilliant? If you are trying to lose weight and you do not step on the scale ever because it's something that you fear or you just don't want to, maybe you're just going to go by your clothes fitting or whatever, you never will have a gauge as to what point the weight loss is enough, or if you have succeeded at weight loss. And so it is important to step on the scale periodically. Some people do it every day. I do. To see where your marker is. If you don't have a marker, how do you know that you've lost? How do you know that you've gained, right? In a race, same thing. There's got to be a starting point and an ending point. If you don't have those, then you don't know if you've started and you don't know if you've ended. There has to be a gauge for you to be able to know if you have risen or fallen, increased or decreased. There has to be a marker, right? There's got to be a focus point. And so with our businesses, if we don't know, let's say we're going to take January, for instance, if you don't know where you hit numbers wise last January, then you don't know what you should be aiming for or what you could beat this January, right? So let's say your sales were $2,000 last January. In order to grow, you would want to aim for $2,001, right? That is called growth. Now listen, your goals and your achievements don't have to be spectacularly large. You don't have to say, well, I hit 2,000 last year. I want to hit 3,000 this year. Listen, you want to set that goal? Then by all means do it, because I am the type of believer that if you shoot for the moon, you will land upon the stars. And that's just as good. So if you're shooting for 3,000 and you land at 2,001, then you beat last year. Get it? But if you're not tracking those numbers, you don't know where you need to be to grow. A comment was also made, well, my numbers really aren't that big, so they shouldn't matter. Listen, I'm telling you, I wish I had started tracking my numbers way at the beginning of my career. It's been 12 years now, and I would say that since 2014, maybe 2014, 2016-ish, that time frame is when I started tracking numbers. Now, I started in 2012. I would have loved to have seen what my daily numbers were back in the day that I started, right? As a Scentsy consultant, you have the ability to look at those numbers in our workstation, through the workstation, by selecting the month and year in the performance tab. Okay, so you can go back and look at some of those numbers. And if you wanted to start right from the day you started and start recording it, then by all means do it. I'm not here to tell you how. Okay, we're not learning how to track those numbers. I am wanting to enforce the reason you should. Okay? Some people are going to track on an Excel spreadsheet. Some people are going to do it pen and paper. Some people are going to do it in an app that is created for such a thing, right? It was funny because one of the things that I pointed out, somebody was like, oh, I wish we could just, look on my phone and know what my numbers were last year at this time on my watch. And I was like, okay, well then just go into your phone, set a reminder from a year from today with what today's number was. And then a year from today on today, there will be a notification that pops up on your phone with the number you had last year. And continue doing that. So you'll have a notification every day. Maybe you want to do it weekly. Maybe you want to do it monthly. I'm going to suggest that you do it daily, because here's the deal. And then also track what was happening on that day. So let's say I go back to January of last year and I look at a specific day and there was a huge jump from the day before to that day. If I don't put any notes as to tell me what that jump was for, there's kind of a disservice there, because now I'm going to look at that number and it's going to be kind of skewed, because I'm going to be comparing a number that could potentially have had a flash sale that day. Or maybe I closed a party, or maybe there was a fundraiser that I put in, right? So tracking numbers is vital for growth. If you want to grow in your business, then I suggest that you track your numbers daily. Get into a habit that the first thing in the morning, which is what I do, first thing in the morning, I go and I put my coffee on and I go sit at my computer for 5 minutes and I copy my numbers down. And right now I have three workbooks going, and I'm not sure if all of them are going to be used. Of course, it's January, right? So we try new things. But one of them is my daily numbers for me specifically. One of them is my daily numbers for my team, so that I can see what they sold the day before. And there's some benefit to that, because I can cheer somebody on if they had a $500 day yesterday and say, woo, why don't you share with the team what it is that you did? Could be a party, could be something else, who knows, right? And then the other one that I have is monthly. So I have a daily for me, a daily for my team, and a monthly comparison since the day that I started. The daily one I don't have since the day I started, but the monthly one I have from the day that I started. And the spreadsheet will show me what I did last year. It'll show me what I did the year before in January and the year before that. And so one of the things that has been very helpful to me, especially during the pandemic, is kind of eliminated. We had a hyper growth in Scentsy anyway. We had a hyper growth in 2020 and 2021. And so our numbers jumped up so high, so quickly, that you cannot compare them to this year or even 2019. And so what I do often is, because I tracked it, I will go back and look at 2019 and say, where am I at compared to March of 2019? And we're pretty much right on track. So, if I didn't do that, I would get super discouraged, because my numbers are not as good as they were during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic. So, is it important to track your numbers? It is, if you want to grow. Okay? If you have any suggestions or comments that you want to add to this, please do so in the comments below. And I'll see you next week on our next training video. Bye.